Hey, it's Ryan Gillard here with Real Broker, your Calgary realtor. The Calgary real estate market's on fire. We've got rising prices and many people are priced out of the market, but there are some alternatives around the Calgary area. Today I'm out in Strathmore, about 45 minutes east of Calgary, an area that I actually grew up in. And in this video, I'll showcase all of the pros and cons of living in Strathmore. Let's go. All right, let's get into it here. Let's talk about the pros and cons of living in Strathmore. And first up, I'll just show you where it is in relation to Calgary. So here's Calgary right here, obviously. If we take the Trans-Canada Highway straight east, we'll come across Chestermere, and then Strathmore is right over here. So right now it's about 8:30 in the morning, and I'm downtown Calgary, and I pulled up my map, and it says it's about a 49-minute drive from downtown to Strathmore during rush hour. So it's actually not that bad. It usually takes anywhere from, 40 minutes to an hour, depending on what's happening with the traffic. And it's not too bad. I know a lot of people that actually live in Strathmore and work in Calgary. And I actually grew up in Strathmore from grade 6 to grade 12. I actually grew up outside of Strathmore in this place called Nameka you see right here. And I've made this commute a million times from Strathmore to Calgary. It's actually not that bad. And again, I know lots of people that live in Strathmore and work in Calgary. So it's definitely not that bad of a commute, and it's very doable. And regarding commuting, if we're looking at Strathmore to Calgary, there's a lot of options actually to get throughout the city. So if you take the Trans-Canada Highway, you can actually connect here in Chestermere and take 17th Avenue it turns into, which will take you right into the downtown part of the city. The Trans-Canada will go east-west throughout Calgary in the north kind of central region. You've got Stony Trail right here, which will take you around the city, north or south. And there's lots of different connection roads on Stony Trail. So it's actually quite easy to get around the city if you're coming from Strathmore. And Strathmore itself, I've walked across the entire town of it. So it's actually not that big. It's walking distance. And there's really not much traffic to talk about in Strathmore. It's definitely just an easy commute to get around. There's probably 4 or 5 traffic lights in the town, and again, it's very easy to get around the city. And I'll just give you a good quick overview of Strathmore and the layout. So downtown Strathmore is right over here. Kinsman Park right here. This is one of the nicer parks in the town. All of this is kind of big box chain stores over here, lots of shopping. This part of Strathmore is kind of like industrial and commercial. The Strathmore Golf Course is over here. The nicer parts, not nicer, but like the more expensive parts of Strathmore are the Strathmore Lakes Estates over here. You've got Wildflower, this part over here, and Lakewood, I believe it's up here, are probably the more expensive parts of the town. Edgefield over here, this is kind of like a newer, a lot of duplexes and single family homes built like the last 5 years or so. This big chunk right here is the older part of Strathmore, and it's kind of like a lot of 1960s and 70s bungalows. We got the Strathmore Stampede grounds over here. This Brentwood Boulevard, you'll see I think there's like 3 or 4 schools. There's the hospital, there's the hockey arena, curling rink, an aquatic center. So lots of services along Brentwood Boulevard. And Strathaven, this is like probably like mid-90s to 2005-ish, it was all developed. And that's just a good quick rundown of the layout of Strathmore. So there is a bit of a commute, but why would someone consider Strathmore? And I would say my top 3 reasons are the affordability factor, the small town way of life, and the close proximity to a big city like Calgary. And I'll just start with my own example. My mom and stepdad, we lived in Calgary from grade 1 to grade 5, South Calgary, and then we moved to the Strathmore area from grade 6 to grade 12 I lived there. And I think they bought like an acre or 2, and it was like $50,000. They built a brand new home on it, and you just can't do that in Calgary. Like the costs are way more expensive in the city. Now this was in the 90s, so the prices are definitely higher now, but still it's way more affordable than Calgary. And I'll just show you some of the price ranges throughout the town. So I'll start off here with the market stats, and I'll cover single-family detached homes first. So right now in Strathmore, the average price is about $502,000. The median price, which I find is a bit better, is $477,000. And so right now in Calgary, the average price of a single-family home is pushing $750,000. So you can see Strathmore is just way more affordable. Your money goes further. And for 700,000, there's actually not that many options in Strathmore. It's rare to see a home that sells in that price range. It does happen up to 1 million, but it's extremely rare. And I'll just give you an example here. So this property sold December of this past December, sold for 715,000 in Lakewood. That's a nice neighborhood in the northwest part of Strathmore. Built in 2015, a 2,500 square foot property, huge. 4 bedrooms above grade, 3.5 bathrooms, a fully finished walkout basement with a double attached garage. And I'll just show you some of the photos here. So this is for 715. Like, this would obviously cost way more money in Calgary. So it looks like a nice property, excellent landscaping, excellent yard. You can see the walkout basement right here. Some beautiful photos, aerial view, nice pie lot. The garden over here, it looks like. Again, built in 2015, so it's not brand new, but it definitely looks well taken care of. Nice photos. And again, in Calgary, this home would cost just way more money, I imagine. So lots of space. And just trying to get to the basement here. So there are a total of 6 bedrooms, so 4 up and 2 down. So your money just goes further in Strathmore than it does in Calgary. Here's another option of a property that we flipped, actually. And in Strathmore, I would say nowadays you can find fixer-upper properties that need a lot of work in the high 200s, maybe starting out. Here is one that we bought. My clients bought it in late 2019. I think it was in November. And they bought it for $205,000. There's only one photo. It needed to be gutted, though. It took a lot of work. So this is an 1,100 square foot bi-level in the Thorncliffe, which is kind of like the older part of Strathmore, built in 1977. 3 bedrooms upstairs with 1.5 bathrooms and a finished basement. But again, it had to be gutted. And I sold it for them last year. And they flipped it. They got $497,900. So the list price was $464,000, and they got $497,000 for it. And it was unconditional offer as well. And so they actually renovated the entire property, and they put in a quad garage, actually. And I'll just show you some of the photos here. So new flooring. Actually, they put in new everything. So new kitchen, new flooring, new paint, new garage. So all of this, and it was still under $500,000. So Strathmore is just much more affordable compared to Calgary. And here's the basement. And next up, I'll show you a property that sold recently. This one sold February the 14th, so just a couple months ago, for $475,000. So this is right around like the median price in Strathmore. So this is a good example to show you what you can buy in the town. So this is on Park Lane Drive, sold for $475,000. It's a 2-story, built in 2006. The property taxes are $3,316 per year. 1,503 square feet. It has 3 bedrooms above grade, 2.5 bathrooms, a fully finished walkout basement with a double attached garage. And I'll show you some of the photos here. So nice looking property. So you just get a lot for your money in Strathmore compared to Calgary. And a giant lot. I'll go back, and here's the walkout basement. Now, in terms of single-family detached homes and pricing, in Strathmore, I would say these 3 parts, like the Strathmore Lakes Estates area, Wildflower over here, and the Lakewood area. These are the most expensive parts of the town. And you'll find homes here like around the 700s and up. Again, 700,000 still is a pretty big price in Strathmore, but you will find them in those areas. Downtown is over here, and a lot of old properties in downtown, like 1910s and 20s. But they're on big lots though, but they can be quite affordable. You can find some properties in here for the high 200s, low 300s now, and you can flip them. I sold one here on Fifth Avenue. I think it was in 2012 they bought it for like $250, and they flipped it in 2016. They did a lot of work to it, and it sold close to $500,000. So this is the older part of Strathmore, and this big chunk of the town is kind of like, I think it's like the normal part of Strathmore, I call it. It's just you'll find a lot of properties in here from like the mid 300s all the way to like the 500s, I'd say on average. Edgefield over here is the newer part of Strathmore. You'll find homes here 500s and 600s, built in the last 5 years or so. And this area over here, Strathaven, you'll find homes here like in the 400s, I would say, in Strathaven. These are all built like in 1995 to 2005-ish. And you'll find all different product types in Strathmore. So for condo-style apartments, the median price is $236, and you'll find them in a range between like $150 to $300. For townhouses, you'll find these for the most part between $200,000 to $300,000. The median price here is $284. And for duplexes, the median price is $400,000, but you can still find some of the older duplexes in Strathmore from like the low 200s all the way to the 400s. And that gives you just a good quick rundown of the market stats in the town. And point number 2, why you might want to consider Strathmore is the small town vibe and the slower pace of life. Now, if you're from a big city and you're moving into a small town, it's hard to describe that, but I would say it's more of like a communal vibe. And I look at my own example. We lived in a place called Nameka, which is 10 minutes outside of Strathmore. It was, again, a 10-minute school bus ride. I knew everybody on the school bus. I'd get to school, and I'd pretty much know everyone at the school by name. And kids have a lot of friends in small towns. You'll see kids out playing on the streets, playing street hockey, basketball. They're in parks and playgrounds. It's just a very safe place for kids. It's very communal vibe again. And if you're out there grocery shopping, for example, you'll probably bump into someone that you know. So you have a lot of friends in small towns, and you just know more people, it seems like, compared to the big city. And I would say it's pretty easy to live in a small town. Like, nothing is a long commute. You're not stuck in traffic for hours, and just things are kind of, it's like a 5-minute drive to get somewhere. You can actually walk across Strathmore. It might take you half an hour, but it's not that far to walk. And again, just a pretty easy place to live. Next up is shopping, services, and schools. Now, despite being a small town, Strathmore is actually punching well above its weight in terms of shopping and services, and schools, I would say. You don't have to leave Strathmore for anything, pretty much. It has all shopping options, and I think it's due to 2 reasons. It's the close proximity to Calgary means that Strathmore is also booming. It's pretty much doubled in size since I left in 2000, maybe even tripled in size. And so it's expanding rapidly, and it's also in the Trans-Canada Highway. So you'll see all sorts of different stores pop up along the main drag, just because there's a lot of interest from people driving from, say, Vancouver to Winnipeg. They'll stop in Strathmore. So it has more shopping options than you might think for a small town. Now, in terms of services, the same thing. There's a hospital in town. There's a curling rink. I think there's 2 hockey arenas. There's probably 6 different schools. And so it has all services as well. And again, Calgary's only a 40-minute commute. The Calgary airport is in the northeast part of the city, so it's actually not that far from Strathmore to get to the airport, quite convenient. And you can actually bypass a lot of the traffic getting to the airport from Strathmore. So again, it's a pretty convenient location. It's not too far from Calgary, and it has all the services in town as well. And next up, I'll go over some of the schooling options. There's actually quite a few options in Strathmore for a small town. And I'll just list them off, and I'll show you on the map where they're located. So Strathmore High, grades 10 to grade 12, George Freeman School, kindergarten to grade 9, Crowther Memorial Junior High School, 7 to 9, and then Westmount, Wheatland, and Brentwood are all kindergarten to grade 6, elementary schools, and Trinity Christian Academy is kindergarten to grade 9. And there are some other Catholic schools too, Sacred Heart Academy and Holy Cross Collegiate. And on the map, so the main boulevard here for services is Brentwood Boulevard, and there's all sorts of different things going on here. So there's the Wheatland Elementary School right over here. Now, in my day, this was actually the junior high school, but they actually turned this into an elementary school. And the old high school, which I went to, turned into the junior high school, Crowther Memorial, and they built the high school right next to it, which is right over here. In between, there's a hospital, there's a curling rink, there's an aquatic center, so all sorts of different things along Brentwood Boulevard. And then there's a Brentwood school, if I could find it here. This might be it right here. Yeah, Brentwood Elementary School is over here. So this map's not very good at the moment. George Freeman High School is this one right over here in the newer part of town. And then Holy Cross Collegiate and Sacred Heart Academy. I went here when it was called Sam Crow, Samuel Crowther Middle School. It was grade 6 and grade 7, and it wasn't a Catholic school. So they keep changing things around in Strathmore, but this is where the two Catholic schools are located. And then we've got Westmount School just over here. So you get the idea, there are schools located all throughout Strathmore. Now, the last thing I'll talk about here in terms of pros is that many of the pros and cons of Calgary also apply to Strathmore. And I've got a video specifically on the pros and cons of Calgary, which you can find right here. And so Strathmore is similar, lots of park space, lots of playgrounds, lots of good scenery around the Strathmore area. You can get to the Rocky Mountains from Strathmore in probably 2 hours, I would say, from Strathmore to Canmore. Definitely doable as a day trip. A lot of the ski hills in the Rocky Mountain area, lots of hiking, biking, just a very scenic environment. And many of those apply to Strathmore as well. And next up, I'll talk about some of the negative aspects of Strathmore. And first up, I'll talk about jobs. So for the most part, Strathmore is kind of like a bedroom. It's like half a bedroom community close to Calgary and half a farming center. So there are lots of agricultural jobs and oil and gas jobs around the Strathmore area. But if you want more diverse job opportunities, you might have to consider Calgary. Now, it's not the end of the world. It's not that long of a commute, but the job opportunities in small towns aren't as great as big cities, obviously. And for entertainment options, again, Strathmore does have all shopping and services, but you might still get a bit bored living in a small town. I know I did, and I drive to Calgary quite often. So it's not like living on Granville Street in Vancouver. It's a small town. It's going to be kind of boring at times, but that's a small town. That's what you have to expect. And next up is the weather. It's Alberta. It's going to be harsh. Long winters, short summers. You got hailstorms. Strathmore is no different. So you have to expect that moving to Alberta. The weather is going to be up and down like a soap opera. It changes every day, and Strathmore is no different. And next up is transportation. If you're moving to Alberta, I would recommend having a car. There's no subways or transit in Strathmore. I think there is a taxi cab service. I've walked across Strathmore, so that's also an option. But living in Alberta, you're going to want to have a car for sure. And the last point, I would say Strathmore is not the most multicultural of towns. Like when I finished high school, I think my class was 95% white. Over time, it's gradually gone a bit more multicultural, but it's still a very strong Caucasian community. Nothing wrong with that, but if you want to move somewhere that has a bit more of a blend, Strathmore is not the first place that comes to my mind. Maybe look at Airdrie might be a better option for you if that's what you want. But again, nothing wrong with living in a small white farming town. There you have it. That's my take on Strathmore in a nutshell. A very nice town, lots of good aspects to it. And now I've lived there. I've sold lots of properties in Strathmore. If you're out there watching this and you could use some help buying, selling, or relocating, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I would love to help you out. And I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.